YouTube, hey there, it's Casey Dimon, TaxSaleAcademy.com. Thank you so much for joining me as I record this episode for the Tax Sale Podcast. If you enjoy listening to podcasts, click that link down below in the description. It'll take you to TaxSalePodcast.com. You can download us on your favorite podcasting platform and you can listen on the go. But if this video version on YouTube is more of your style, that's perfectly fine with me. Just do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button just to let me know. Let's go ahead and switch on over to the audio portion right now. Welcome to the Tax Sale Podcast, where tax sale investing is made easy. My name is Casey Dimon. I'm a tax sale veteran and expert. I'm the leading tax sale trainer, author of the Tax Sale Playbook, founder of the Tax Sale Academy, and I am your host right here on the Tax Sale Podcast. As always, I want to thank you for joining me on today's podcast episode. It means the world that you would spend just a few moments out of your day to get your tax sale education from myself. I'd also like to ask you to take a few seconds out of that day to leave a 5-star rating on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on, or if you're watching on YouTube, click that thumbs up button. That way we know that you enjoy our content. At the conclusion of today's podcast episode, if you are looking to learn more about investing in tax defaulted real estate, head on over to TaxSaleAcademy.com. Again, that's TaxSaleAcademy.com. There's a link down below in the show notes. Today's episode is for you guys who have started investing, but maybe you've hit a sticking point of sorts. Or perhaps it's for the new investors who might have not actually started buying properties yet, but they're being proactive and they want to know exactly what to do when they hit a bump in the road or a slowdown in their business. Today, we're talking about what to do when you feel stuck as a tax sale investor. If you've had the chance to read the Tax Sale Playbook, then you know my personal experience with this. If you haven't, you can get your free copy at TaxSaleBook.com. But in this book, I detail my life around the real estate boom in the early 2000s. The book goes into quite a few details that are very helpful for new investors, but the short story is that I was a kid. I was making lots and lots of money thanks to the crazy surge in the economy. Truthfully, more money than I could ever have imagined at that age. But when the economy tanked, so did my income. And that's when I hit my first huge sticking point in my life. It was a very lengthy, costly, and heartbreaking sticking point. The truth was that it was the result of the downturn of the economy. I eventually worked my way out of it, and I found lots of success despite the horrible economy at the time in the years after the crash. It took time, and it took effort, but I was able to do it. I've also hit a number of sticking points ever since. Truthfully, I do it on a yearly basis, if not more, at some level or another. I'll find an incredible niche or an incredible market, I'll start investing, I'll go all in, and then it dries up on me. That's when the sticking point will begin to affect my wallet. So I'm going to go over the 3 biggest takeaways from every single sticking point that I've ever encountered. If you keep these 3 takeaways in the back of your head at all times, your business will continue to grow for the long term and you'll easily overcome any obstacles in your way. The first takeaway that I want you to remember is that you must recognize that you have hit a sticking point and then determine how to proceed. The sooner you recognize it, the better. I'm here to tell you, though, that it is a lot harder than it seems. If you look back at all the crazy ups and downs in the early 2000s, you'll discover that many investors didn't recognize that what they were doing stopped working. How they're making their money just stopped. And this led to the previously ultra-successful investors who leveraged everything in order to make as much money as possible. Well, they lost everything. They lost their jets, their homes, their cars. They filed bankruptcy. Some made fraudulent acts and got arrested. And sadly, some even committed suicide. The advantage of recognizing when you've hit this point is so invaluable. Many times, a sticking point, it's the universe's way to actually tell us that what we're doing will not work in the future and we need to stop. Other times, it's the universe's way of telling us that we just simply need another approach. So once you've hit this point, stop, look at your approach and begin to analyze it. Determine, will this approach work if I just give it 100%? If I go at it 100 miles per hour, will this work if I'm bullheaded and keep pushing as hard as I can? Or do I just change up something just a little bit? Do I change my approach to what I'm doing? What is going on here? So for example, when you're learning how to invest in tax defaulted real estate, you know eventually you're probably going to hit a sticking point, right? You might not understand something, you might not understand a concept or a strategy or whatever else. In this scenario, if you keep pushing forward, what's going to happen? you're going to ultimately see success in this business, right? Nothing is lost by pushing forward. You only have knowledge to gain. But in an example where you're investing in the same area over and over, and you're making quite a bit of money, but prices continue to rise and margins continue to fall, what happens if you continue doing the same thing over and over and over there? What happens if you push through like a bull? Well, you're likely going to end up losing money on those investments in that area. The truth is that it's probably not going to be as black and white as those examples, but be vigilant in any case. Go with your gut and be conservative in your approach. If something doesn't feel right, or if what you're doing you just don't see working in the future, then it's time to go to the next takeaway. You must quickly pivot. When the economy crashed more than a decade ago now, I did not realize that I was actually stuck right away. The fact was, I did actually recognize it sooner than most people. I did better off than many of those around me. But because I did not recognize it quickly enough, because I did not recognize it and then pivot quickly enough, I had many issues. I was buying and selling vacant lots and homes by the dozens. When the market shifted, I kept buying and I kept selling vacant lots and homes. But my margins eventually dried up. They actually turned negative at one point. And that's when I recognized, hey, I've got an issue here. But what happened? I sat back and I just sat there. I didn't do anything. I didn't pivot as quickly as I should have. Eventually, after a year of sitting there not doing much at all, I made that pivot and I started using different strategies that helped me see success during bad times in the economy. But I certainly did not pivot as quickly as I should, and it cost me quite a bit of money. So back to the earlier example. Maybe you're in that learning stage and you've hit a roadblock, right? You're stuck with your approach. Maybe it's time to recognize that and then pivot, right? So if you're learning, then suddenly you just don't understand something, pivot, change directions. So maybe if you're watching video trainings, maybe you read a book about it. Maybe if you're not the type that's overly involved in asking questions, maybe it's time to start asking questions and find somebody to help you out. Just pivot, change directions. And if you're in the situation where you're buying properties in one subdivision and values and subsequently margins begin to decrease, it's time to pivot in a completely different direction. Change your approach, change your strategy. Find a different property, find a different area, different property type perhaps, and go that direction. No matter how you end up pivoting, you must do it quickly. So as soon as you realize that you are stuck in your business, whether it is a major pivot, a change of direction, or just something very minor, whatever it is, as soon as you realize you're stuck, change direction and do it right then and right there. Even if you change direction, if you pivot to a strategy or an approach that does not end up working out, that's okay. Pivot again. It's just a matter of recognizing that you're at a sticking point and you need to make changes. And our third takeaway is why. Why did this even happen? You must learn and you must grow from every sticking point that you have. This is so incredibly important. They say that hindsight is 20/20. And it has never been more true than when you reach a big sticking point in life or in business. As I look back at every single time that I had an issue, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the failures. I'm thankful for the struggles, the challenges. I'm thankful for the times where things did not go as I had envisioned them. The reason that I'm thankful is because it gave me the opportunity to learn and become much better in whatever discipline it was in the future. Although they can be tough to swallow at times, difficult experiences are often the best learning lessons for us because you reach that hurdle in the future, you will know exactly what to do to get past it or to just avoid it entirely. The problem that I see from time to time is that for many people, it takes more than one of these issues, more than one of these sticking points for us to really learn. And that's only human nature. But if you look back at every single situation that you faced in business and you can find a solution to that situation, you're going to be much better equipped for dealing with it in the future. That's part of the reason I'm so dedicated to teaching others. I've been through 17 years worth of issues now, and I've found solutions to just about all of them. Nearly every single issue that somebody tells me about, I've been through that issue, and I know how to proceed correctly. So when I come to a sticking point in the future, I know exactly what to do. I know that if I take these 3 takeaways with me, I'll grow in the future and I'll know how to get past all these hurdles. So always take these with you. You need to absolutely recognize it right off the bat. Don't continue to drive down the same road that keeps getting narrower and narrower and narrower to the point where it becomes too late to turn around, too late to change directions. Once you recognize it, it's time to pivot and do it very, very quickly. Find a different route. Even if that doesn't work and you have to pivot again, that's okay. Just pivot quickly and change directions until you find something that works. And then lastly, you must learn. Learn from that sticking point. So when you reach that point again in the future, because it will happen in some aspect or another, you'll know exactly what you should be doing. So again, recognize, pivot, and learn. Guys, everybody will hit a sticking point at some point or another. They come to a point where they just don't know what to do. They don't know how to move forward, if they even should move forward, or if they should just give up entirely. My suggestion is never to give up, but instead recognize, pivot, and learn. That's it for today's episode, guys. If we can help you with the process of learning how to become a successful tax sale investor, head on over to TaxSaleAcademy.com, click on Join, and become a member of the Academy, where we'll teach you based off my own 17 plus years of sticking points and learning lessons. Again, that's TaxSaleAcademy.com and click on Join. And if you're not quite ready to join yet, but you are still looking to learn, you can visit that same website, TaxSaleAcademy.com, and you can get your free copy of the Tax Sale Playbook. It is the ultimate guide to buying and selling tax-defaulted real estate, and the book itself is completely free. I bought it for you. Just help us to cover the nominal shipping costs to get it from our warehouse to your front door. There's a link down below in the show notes, or you just type in TaxSaleAcademy.com into your web browser. I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode and every single one of our other episodes as well. If you did, make sure you leave that feedback. Make sure you subscribe to our channel on whatever podcasting platform you are watching. It'll mean quite a bit to us, and we will see you for our next episode. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.